Hey everyone, it's Whitney. Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be making some really awesome DIY projects out of some air dry clay. Now I have some leftover air dry clay right here from a video I just made on doing some restoration hardware DIY vessel dupes. I will link that video up in the eye and down below if you want to check that out. I love how all of those turned out, but I figured since we had some air dry clay left over, we could make some really fun projects. If you like videos like this, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I would love to have you here and join my little DIY fam. My little family is growing, you guys. I see you all and I appreciate all of you for subscribing lately, and it's just such a joy to have all of you here. I love seeing all your comments down below, and some of you have kind of come over to my Instagram and said hi. I love that. So hi and welcome. You could also use polymer clay for this project. The only difference between air dry clay like this and polymer clay is that you have to put your polymer clay in the oven for it to actually set, but air dry clay just dries by the air. So we're not going to be using any of the traditional clays that you would use for pottery and ceramics. That's stoneware, earthenware, ball clay, fire clay, and kaolin clay. That's not what we're working with today. Hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to get a pottery wheel and a kiln. Oh my God, that would be a dream come true. But we're not doing that today. We're going to be working with air dry clay, but if you have polymer clay, you can definitely do the same projects with polymer clay. You just got to put it in the oven for a little bit. Okay, let's hop on over to the dining room table and get these projects done. I just taped down some regular old parchment paper, so it'll be a little bit easier to work on. For the first project, we're going to make a set of 3 Trinket dishes, and I'm using basically about half of this package, so maybe a pound. And I'm going to put in some instant ground coffee. We'll start with about 2 tablespoons and go from there. So wedging your clay is absolutely necessary when you are working with regular pottery ceramics, like stoneware and things like that, because you have to get all the air bubbles out, so when you put it in the kiln, it doesn't explode. But with air dry clay, we don't have to worry about that, but wedging it does give it a nice kind of marbled effect. All right, so we got small, medium, large, and now we're gonna roll it out and make some Trinket trays. Make sure you have a little bit of water on hand. You're just gonna smooth out the sides. All right, so if you wanted to stop here, you could have a little coaster, but if you want the sides to bend up a little bit, you just pinch them on up. I'm just gonna add in that leftover to the medium one and do the same thing. It's not totally circular, but organic shapes are in right now. Let's make a little pinch pot. So just roll it into a ball and then depress your thumb inside and just start pinching it out. A candle is about the size of a wine cork, so I think that's gonna work. I'm just gonna put the wine cork in there. This does shrink a little bit when it dries. I'm gonna leave this cork in here as it dries so it can maintain the size. I don't think it's going to shrink that much, but you never know. Let's wait for this to dry for a little bit so it can hold its shape, and then we'll go from there. I got an Easter egg. We're going to use these as molds as well. I just put a little flat bottom on it. Rough outline of a spoon. Now we have our spoon cutouts. We're gonna get our fingers wet and just kind of shape them out so they don't have the jagged edge. For the spoon itself, and just do it with your thumb. All right, I'm gonna put these inside and let them dry for just a little bit more. I'm going to put a candle here, here, and here. I'm going to be using these copper ends. So I'm just going to make a little depression right in the middle. So when we glue it on, it can sit flat. So if you want, you can take a piece of fine grit sandpaper. This is a grit of 220, and sand these down just a little bit. So before we talk about the color palette that I'm going to be using, I just wanted to show you some color options on what actual throne pottery looks like. This is some of my pottery that I made on a wheel a couple years ago, but I just wanted to give you some inspiration on different color combinations. So this is the same base clay, but you can either take it into like a not so glazed earthy tone, or you can do a glaze that actually comes out pretty glossy. So you can have kind of a matte glaze or a glossy glaze. So I would say that all of these, maybe even this one, would be in the same color family. Just so you know, to get a detail like this, you have to put wax on your clay before you glaze it. So we're not gonna do something like this today, but I just wanted to show you the different speckling that can happen in your glaze, which is, we're gonna try to replicate it on these that we're gonna make today. You can manipulate it and do a few things to it, like partial dips and swirl it on the inside. Now this is porcelain. You can tell because the bottom will be white as opposed to the kind of earthy color of the other clay. Now you could do like multiple different colors. You could do one color on the outside, a different color on the inside. But I just wanted to give you guys some inspiration and some options for how you can paint up your little stuff. So these are the colors that I will be using today. I'm liking the brown, earthy, neutral tones. So we got parchment, suede, tan, golden brown, brown, and Mars black. So let's get to painting. To get the speckling in here, I'm going to take some flat protective enamel in black, spray it into the cap, get kind of a stiff old paintbrush, dip it in there from a distance, just kind of flick my paintbrush. Then we're going to let those dry, flip them over and do the inside. So I'm going to spray some triple thick clear glaze on our Trinket dishes. For the little bowls, I'm going to be using lacquer. So let's find out the difference between glaze on the Trinket dishes and lacquer on the bowls. So this is one coat of glaze and one coat of lacquer. Now the lacquer definitely looks a little bit more lustrous. You can't even really tell there's a glaze on here, but I think that's because this is painted and this is not. So let's do a second coat on everything and we'll see if it shows up on here. This is 2 coats of glaze. We're starting to see a little bit of a sheen, and this is 2 coats of the lacquer. To keep our experiment concise, we're only changing one variable. So both of these are painted. This is the lacquer and this is the glaze. Now on the paint, I think the glaze actually looks a lot better. So if you were going to paint your ceramics up, it's up to you. You can either do glaze or lacquer. But now that I'm looking at the glaze on paint, I think glaze is better for painted surfaces. So we have our nifty difty candle holder. You can leave it like this, or you can paint it. I'm gonna be painting it up in some heirloom white. You guys, this is a fantastic color of white. All right, little candle thing is dry. Now I picked these up from Home Depot. They are like copper end caps in the 3/4 inch, and they do fit a tapered candle perfectly. So to attach these, I'm going to be using super glue because I don't want them to move around at all. I don't think hot glue is going to be enough hold, and E6000 is going to take forever to dry. So in our little well where we made earlier, I'm just going to glue in our cap. And I'm just about out of super glue. So I got some more super glue, but the little amount that I added to this one earlier has totally worked, totally held up. So I have some confidence that this super glue will do the trick as well. So for this one, we put the candle in there. The candle is going to be kind of wobbly. It's not super secure. So we don't want wobbly flames. So I'm going to super glue the end of the candle into there. Look at how cool this crazy glue can just like sit in the cap. Then the poker is the lid. Look at that nifty design. All right, our little copper pieces are glued on there, and I'm going to do the same thing. Because when you set a candle in there, it's a little wobbly. I'm gonna glue it in there and just hold it in place while it sets up so it doesn't get glued down crooked. Full disclaimer on this DIY, you guys, it is not super stable. I don't think it's gonna fall over, but unless you're gonna be super, super careful and keep your eye on this the entire time it's burning, maybe this DIY is a bust, but you could use battery operated candles if you didn't want the fire hazard. And then I wouldn't let it burn all the way down into the little thing where we put the super glue because I think super glue is flammable. So maybe a bust, but it's cute. So here is a flameless candle that I got off of Amazon. The bottom just twists up and twists down. That's how you turn it on and off. But looky-loo, it fits perfectly. It actually fits a little bit better than the taper candles do. It's kind of the same effect, right? I would probably opt for the battery powered candles just for safety reasons. So I've made a little luxury bath experience. This is baking soda, some dried rose petals, and some Epsom bath salts. Now, the lacquer we sprayed on here is definitely not food safe, so I wouldn't put any tea or anything like that in here. But this would be a nice little gift to create a luxurious bath experience for a friend, a mother, a sister, a brother, a husband, it doesn't matter. But this would be a cute little gift or a nice treat for yourself. I adore these. I love how these turned out. If you guys end up recreating any of these, let me know in the comments below which ones you're gonna do, or tag me over on Instagram and I will repost it to my story. I love to see what you guys make. You're so creative. All right, so I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.